Okay, welcome to the Financial Freedom Guy podcast. You can tell I've been laughing. I got two good friends, great relationships here. I've been laughing coming into it. We almost used our whole time just talking and catching up. So two great friends. I got Alf, that we go way back, and more recently I met Mike. They both have great accents. So Alf, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Mike, and then we're just going to dive in. And we got a really interesting topic here about relationships and technology that enables support, so that the cold marketing isn't doing what it used to do. So there's a better way. So let's introduce each other, introduce yourselves, and then we'll keep going into it. So Alf, who are you?
Thanks for that, Kirk. I'm obviously, from my accent, I'm from Australia, and I'm here professionally here in Australia. I'm a certified financial planner. So I exist with investments and planning and that sort of thing. Primarily, I focus on business owners and helping them to get their affairs well organised within their business, but also within their whole family. So I do a lot of family, what we could call virtual family office work, of making sure that they've got everything where it needs to be and that they're well protected against predators and creditors and all that sort of thing. So that's a lot of the work that I do, Kirk, and I think that's where we sort of met originally.
We go back pre-COVID, and Alf knows everybody, okay, and he's learning all these different communities, kind of stuff. And so Alf introduced me to Mike. And Mike, can you introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, thanks very much for having us join you on your podcast, and good to see you both again. My background is originally in financial services as well, but around about 10 or so years ago, I transitioned out of financial services across to software development, following a passion of developing some software that I wanted to develop personally. And that journey has kind of taken me along a very interesting pathway to where now own a software development company which provides outsourced software development as a whole. And because of having that sort of facility, a passion of mine has always been around, as what we're going to be jumping into, is around these relationships and managing and tracking relationships and the outcomes or the transactional outcomes from those relationships. So around about 3 years ago, we started looking at using my software development team to start developing a little side hustle in building an application called Referit, which is a referral tracking and management and rewarding program. So and that's kind of where my journey's brought me to, and the three of us today.
Yeah, and it's kind of amazing. We're global at this point, and it's become so natural. Okay,
and maybe, Kirk, if this podcast is going to be used by others, maybe just explain what you're about, Kirk, if you don't mind. Just a little bit of framework there would be helpful.
Yeah, so where I'm coming from, it started 30 years business building. Ended up if you think about most CFOs, business owners, let's be honest. Do you want to go talk to your CFO? No, because they tell you no, you don't have the money, play it safe. You think they're speaking English, but debits, credits, not quite following them. So traditional CFOs most of them are accountants, right? They're really controllers with a big title, and so invented the growth CFO, where it's just a different game. Like what destination do you want to be at? What is financial freedom for you? Why is that important to you? And then rolling up our sleeves, hands on, with a very unique skill set that other people on the team wouldn't have. They help every team member do really well with more clarity in data, and then the follow through, and then the unique skills of a CFO. We can do the what if, and your profitability is here and your value of your business is there. Or what flight plan do you want to be on? So that's kind of what it is. It's gotten my team, dozens of people around the world doing this work. So I'm free to start the Financial Freedom Guy podcast. Here we are.
Well done, Kirk.
Yeah. So it's kind of amazing. Quite frankly, the fact that I'm here and I'm so free, I didn't get here alone. It was from a relationship that you introduced me to, Alf, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And I was at a point where I was stuck, and that literally liberated me. And I learned some stuff like, oh, you mean I can go down to the country and meet people? I don't have to be in like just like in the office. And it seems obvious maybe once somebody says it, and it was more than that. I went through a whole process, started to understand who I am and what that kind of stuff. But that was a relationship.
Yeah, it was, Kirk. Yeah.
Invaluable. I mean, invaluable. So let's talk about that. Like, go to Mike or Alf, whatever it is. But let's go to Mike. Like in your life, your business. Before we talk about the technology that makes it easy to introduce people to other good people to get good outcomes, when you think about relationships, what comes to mind?
It's a really interesting point, Kirk. For me, relationships is really, I think, the glue that holds a lot of stuff together. Particularly where you've got people in business, particularly those relationships build up over a period of time, and I think the important criteria that comes from that relationship is the melding of trust between two parties or between people. And I think putting any technology to the side, particularly in this day and age, where technology and AI and everything else is kind of becoming very forefront and very topical. I think the thing that seeds all of that stuff right at the platform or creates a foundation for everything is that human to human connection, and building upon those relationships. I will forever say that's the foundation to any business is that human to human relationship.
Yeah, it really is, and relationships are an asset. Like if you did something in life to become trustworthy, you work with certain people, they trust you, and other people who are similar to you, like they come through what they promise. That's way better than answering a cold email and like right, let me go look at the reviews, the Yelp reviews or background checks, and so you're saying it's paramount. And Alf, what about you? I mean, let's kind of get the conversation going. Like, relationships? How do you think about that?
Yeah, I remember early in my years, and even with my dad, it used to be about being the rugged individual that I could do it all myself. And that there was a thought, and maybe that's a part of how we develop as human beings, that we need to be able to step out and do things ourselves, and I can do everything, sort of thing. But but you approach a point in your life where you realize you're sort of bumping up against a ceiling that, man, I'm only really good at a couple of things. And there's a lot of things that I'm not that good at, and I'm that needs to be really fulfilled by other people, other organizations, other people. And so I think that there's a limitation to if I've got a small relationship group, particularly as a business owner, that's going to limit in terms of how much I can grow and how much impact I can have. So these relationships are critical. I think it I'm thinking, and I'm reflecting back on a lot of Dan Sullivan's work where he talks about, who, not how. That you look for the who's, don't look for the how to do it. And there's certain hows that I do. Narrow activities that I have a unique gift in or unique ability. There's a lot of stuff that I'm not really good at, and I need those other people that are great at the things that I'm really poor at. Or substandard at. And I'm thinking about relationships in terms of technical skills that I might need, but there's also, as you intimated before, Mike and Kirk, there's also that trust factor of I might know technically where to go, but do I have the confidence to go and actually do it? Knowing what to do and then being able to do something really rides on that that confidence. Do I have confidence in this? And I think if I think about referrals, they're often built on the foundation of it provides greater safety for me. There's more confidence because there's less risk, perceived less risk in the brain about being introduced to someone who someone else knows. Whether that's real or not doesn't matter, but at least it allows me to take action rather than just pontificate and do nothing.
Yeah. Well, I think it probably goes. There's probably some biological evolution to that. Like like somebody I trust introduced me to somebody they trust. Then my confidence level is we're already in the 20% mark. Top 20%. I don't need to check nothing, right? Let's go.
And
That's what,
did that apply when I introduced you to Janet many years ago? Were you willing to embrace her because of the fact that it was a referral? Kirk, I'm just thinking back at your comment.
Yeah, 100%. And Janet, by the way, is another Australian. I think Australians are they're not just good business people; they're good people. So there's a lot of influence. But Janet, she does inner work. Like if you're stuck, becoming aware of the unconscious and that kind of stuff, and really an effective, efficient program. 8 weeks, like wow. Just so you know, you have the background. And so with Janet, I totally trust. She's one in a million. I've been in the behavioral science world, that kind of stuff. She's one in a million, like unique. And so I trusted her. Like you've always made quality introductions, and I definitely when I talked to her, it came through that she was like exceptional. I didn't quite fully know, but I did not experience her. But I'll tell you about Janet. You're going inside this head. I don't know what's going on in there, right? And you open up Pandora's box. Right, and not sure, so I delayed actually working with her for a good period of time, and then literally when I did, it was nothing like what I imagined could have happened with the Pandora's box, and literally it was week 2. I'm like, I'm pretty good. If I learn something today, I'm going to use it tonight, kind of thing. Yeah. So we were rolling, right? And
but had you not had a referral to her, would you have ever found her, and would you have even put her on the possibility list, Kirk?
Yeah, there's no way on both accounts. Like, let me look around Australia for somebody named Janet. It probably wouldn't have done that. Right? My things to do are different. And would I try if I'd have found her, some fortune teller, fortune cookie? No way. No way. But it was the trust, and man, right? And so let's go. Just Mike. Okay, is there a point like in relationships? Do you have a story where something really came about where like Alf has a self-made man story with his father, but you have a story where like light bulbs go on, like relationships are important.
For me, I think it's just something that's kind of gradually built up over time, Kirk, rather than like a magical moment. I often take my stories back to early financial planning days, and particularly I used to, back in the day, do quite a bit of work with Elf. And, the business that my father and I had created was one which was very specialized in the planning community, which was around business succession and estate planning. But not so much around the how-to on that side of things, because there's a number of professionals that get involved on the how of pulling all that together. But we came in using insurance as life insurance as a funding tool to fund those sort of strategies and outcomes if there was a premature death or something along those lines. So for us, being so pointy in our services, it really allowed us to specialize and provide, like Alf was saying, where you've got a competency level to a certain point, but then to really take it through and provide the full context of that service, going to a specialist or referring to a specialist is kind of the next step of that evolution. And that's where we positioned our business, was very much as specialists, and we created our entire network our business was 100% built on referrals, never a dime spent on advertising or any Google search or any of that sort of optimization. I don't even think we had a proper website back in the day. But it was all done through these relationships and referrals. And it really echoes what Alf was saying, in terms of having that speciality, being a trusted source for that referral. Because if Alf was going to make a referral, knowing that his client was going to be well looked after and have great outcome, it builds upon that trust, and then makes the referral itself so much more easier and easy to position with clients. So, having created that and also kind of created what does our ideal client look like that we like to look after and service, we were then utilizing our network to find those clients for us and refer them.
Yeah.
And, so it was all built just totally around that relationship.
Referral.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's compare and contrast. I mean, we work with a lot of businesses globally, and what we're seeing for the businesses that rely on marketing, like emails or AdWords, that kind of stuff, with AI, the level of noise has gone up like a lot, right? And I'm not the CMO, but the CMO tells me it used to be like 17 touch points, 9 channels, 3 different touch points. So there's some math like that. Call it 17, and now it's something like 24, 36. You could argue, but it's exponentially more. You got that much more activity to break through the noise to get that prospect or client. So it's a cold market. It's unreal how much, like, the machines and there's more than a dozen different social media platforms and taking content and repurposing it. It's a heavy lift.
Mm-hmm.
In compare. I don't know if you have any thoughts, like, compared to the warm market, like so you're describing all referrals, warm market. Mary introduces Tom and that kind of stuff, and it comes with more credibility. Alf, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, kind of this cold market versus warm market.
Yeah, I think that I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that there's sort of like a trusting of there's a trust factor that transfers through, and that is not necessarily going to come through the digital world. Can through influencers if you're following someone, for a long period of time. But again, that's about relationship that's been built over a period of time. But within my world, I'll tend to, if I'm thinking about resources, I'll tend to go online and, like most people, Dr. Google it to begin with, to have an understanding of the background. But then ultimately, I'll want to check that against, who do they know? And I may go on to LinkedIn and see if there's a connection in there, and then I know that person, and then try and make the connection, in through that person to find out if there's validity there. So it's almost like I feel safer if it's actually through a referral.
Yeah.
Some sort of referral basis in there.
Yeah, that's huge. So Mike, what do you think about that? What Alf is saying?
Yeah, 100%. I just, again, always bring stuff back to personal experience and what's happening in the current marketplace. I don't know about you, gents, but, open an email of a morning and, there's anywhere between 10 and 50 cold calling emails sprouting different stuff. And, whether they're getting they're finding that information off a list somewhere or through a, a mechanism like LinkedIn where they're trying to target and spray to a lot of people. I just think that stuff it has become incredibly noisy, and I find I'm just sitting there delete at the moment. Whereas where an email or an SMS or a phone call comes in, where somebody's making a referral or a recommendation, or like Alf said, you go outward looking for somebody to introduce you to somebody. I think that's it's warm is always so much easier and so much more pleasant. And I recall seeing a McKinsey report where they were saying, just that referral process itself, because of that transference of trust between people, it actually creates about a 30% uplift in the successful outcome of a referral versus
That's huge.
So yeah.
That's huge. So that's a measurable. Talking about the trust factor, it's a measurable outcome. The it's one thing. Like I run parallel. My growth CFOs are working really good at business income, profitability, the value of the business, and now they're doing that. I run parallel to them doing. A lot of business owners, they're doing that head down, and they're not. There's other parts of their life that's not doing what it could do. So I started working with business owners in cohorts. We call it the Life Master Course. Alf and I have been talking about this, and it's we expand, beyond your business income. How can you really create wealth and comfort and financial freedom on your terms, all that kind of good stuff. And so getting intentional about, okay, there's active hours, like money you get from the work you do. Then a lot of people know about passive income, like you stock portfolios, maybe you have rental properties, something like that. So that kind of passive income. The third item that's overlooked by a lot of folks is earning money on other people's work, and that's literally referrals. Like Mike introduced to Mary, and they do business together, or whatever additional profitability, economic outcome, and then part of that goes to the person who made the referral. Because why not? If you're making $1 million, why not something go to the person? And it could be one time, I don't know, referral compensation is good. You call them rewards in your system. I like recurring stuff that can run as long as it, for years. That's a relationships are assets. I mean, you have to be who you are for years and build trust. Coming through on the things. It's a real asset. But I don't think people see that. Like, wow, it's not just if I introduce these people together and they can make whatever life outcomes that much better. Then,
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel like it's immoral or it's wrong, or I just introduced them. Like I have this friend named Amy, and she's like in the Washington D.C. area. Like, if you want to know somebody, ask Amy. Okay, and I'm not even joking about that. And she'll introduce you to somebody, right? But she's nice, and she didn't see that's an asset that she spent 30 years building, and she not only has she not considered it kind of feels awkward to her if there's some kind of affiliate program kind of stuff. What are your thoughts? Almost like it's immoral. It's not illegal in her case, but it's immoral.
That's a really interesting point of view. I just want to flip it just for a minute, and then I'd really love to get Alf's thoughts on this because, but just flipping that for a second, if you have a look at it from the business context where the business is providing service, that business ordinarily is going to have somewhere between 10 and 30% of budget spent on marketing, advertising of some sort, right?
Yeah.
So, if you've created a mechanism and a sort of partnership or a referral program that you're indoctrinating into your business, I don't see any reason why you can't take a portion of that advertising spend or marketing spend and say, you know what, Mr. Client or Mr. Relationship, you've taken time out of your busy day, your schedule to introduce this person to me. You're a form of advertising. Why can I not take what I was ordinarily spending it on Google advertising or Facebook ads or whatever, and redirect that into a referral program?
Yeah, that's a great outlook. You already got the money carved out if business, and then it's a win-win-win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alpha, what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I thoroughly agree with that. I'm reflecting back on your comment, which is really interesting about this. Your relationships are actually an asset, without realizing that they're an asset, we can tend to underappreciate them. We don't, but if they are an asset, I mean, an asset in my world is defined as something that generates an income stream. If it doesn't generate an income stream, there's an argument that it's not actually an asset. If it does produce an income stream, then it is, by definition, an asset. And this could be one of the biggest underappreciated assets that actually sits with most people that are out there. Yeah, it's just a really interesting way of looking at it, and the moral element to it. I've noticed, I can certainly understand that maybe we should be, it shouldn't be compensated, and there's something wrong with that. But on the other side of it, I notice even myself, and I'll go back to just reflecting on myself. I tend to, beyond being a good person, I tend to take more notice of something if there is, for whatever reason in my brain, if there's some sort of economic glue there. If
Yeah.
there's some sort of economic glue, then I tend to value it higher than if there's no economic glue to it.
Yeah, that's
So, and I'll tend to notice it more if notice the opportunities more if there's some sort of economic glue to it. And I think that morally, if it's openly known that this happens and it's transparent, I don't see any moral issue at all.
yeah.
Provided that it's that everyone's clean on that this is going to take place.
Yeah, encourage.
Yeah.
That's an interesting clarification where it's a potential asset, but it's not an asset until it's producing income. And I've seen that there's another guy, Steve, who sits between. He's like a super relationship guy. He's an American, but happens to be in Turkey, and he just does. He's like a power relationship guy, and he just arbitrage. Like, tell me what you need. Let me understand you. Then at some point, light goes on, and he's introducing, and he just all kinds of deals, like the kind of deals I'd be doing, all the way to the kind of deals much bigger than I'd be doing, like the $200 million deals. And he's not doing anything besides A, B, then some follow up to make sure the connection, jails and that kind of stuff. But he's not like he's doing project management or anything intensive. And if he from a moral standpoint, if he wasn't doing that, you can't really assume that the person's going to figure it out anyway and do it without. There's truly different expertise in the world. Like the self-made man, they're unique. Like each of you is very unique in where you sit on the table, what you contribute. No one else at the table is doing that. What you're able to do. It's a unique perspective. So if these introductions are not made, it's almost immoral not to make them, and it's almost immoral. If you just created $1 million of wealth for somebody, real money, it's almost like it's a criminal exchange almost, where the fact that they're not, sharing some of that with the person who made it happen. It's not going to happen unless there's that arbitrage that the person doing that. So kind of thinking through this. So there's it's almost like, can you imagine if people really valued their relationships and intentionally made introductions, like intentional, like at least one per week, one per day, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's two great people who could do something, and then on the personal side, you got that other source of income that doesn't rely on your work, right? So it supports the financial freedom thing, and the world is better, right?
Yeah.
There's some outcome that wouldn't be the same if not for that introduction.
Do you think also, Kirk, that if you are being remunerated for it, from I'm wondering whether you're actually there's a propensity to do more investigation to make sure that it's that it's going to be in the referee's best interest. There's greater depth of understanding, because it's not just a casual thing anymore. That doesn't have real value, because there's a revenue stream that may well come off this. My own mind saying there's a greater depth of discovery that's been done and validation. And I'm also, if that is true, I'm also thinking about would my mind tend to look for more resources, beyond what I would normally do, in terms of other people that may help that individual in other fields that are 2 or 3 levels beyond what I'd normally do, because of that remuneration element to it.
I think absolutely. We have one referral source that we cut her check for her $5,000 every month, and I call that a good reminder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
And then she gets the added benefit of the person she refers to, like, oh my God, this is better than I expected. On the front end, I wasn't sure, didn't know, jumped in, and here we are. And so Mike, what do you think about what Alf is saying about additional momentum and diligence?
Yeah, look, I totally get that. And I was just thinking when Alf was actually saying that, again, not flipping everything, but I think there's also a propensity for some people or a reluctance to refer, because it's not a natural thing for humans. We may think it, but to actually go and say, look, I want to refer you to somebody, or asking for a referral from a business person's perspective is a very difficult thing for some people. Just that
Yeah.
whole psychological blocking
Yeah.
of
Yep.
trying to get that sort of thing out. And that's where I think, having some sort of programs that are not in your face, they're very subtle. It's inviting somebody to come and participate in a program with you to help you build your business and then reward them for that support.
Yeah.
I think that's where it really does come into play. And I think it was either yourself, Kirk, or Elf previously, or just earlier on, mentioned about we spend years building these networks, and it's not something that happens overnight. But at the same time, making referrals, making it easy to make that referral, I think
Yeah.
is a significant part of that sort of equation that's got to be kind of brought to the table as well.
Yeah, those are good points. It's almost slow down and do quality referrals, and everybody benefits, and there's more incentive for everybody to participate, as it should be. Prosperity, right? People doing well.